now, and I'm logged into the same Meet. I just want you all to see that. You see? You should see my name twice. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right off by presenting. Which I should take over the screen here in just a second. All right. We're good. There we go. So now we're presenting. You should see my iPad screen now. Yes? Yes, good. Perfect. So let's go right into the presentation and cover this. Some of you that logged in early were using the jigsaw puzzle. I put the link in there for those of you who don't know about that. It's a great little tool to do with the kids if you're looking for some downtime or you want something fun for them to do. You can have private jigsaw puzzle assemblies. Well, maybe we'll check it at the end of this presentation. So today we're going to cover what, why, and when, and then what it actually does. It does a lot of things, but I'm going to show you 3 characteristics that it does that I think it's going to convince you. And that's whiteboarding, scanning, annotating, and sharing, and grading. And finally, question and answers, because I know there's probably a lot of questions and answers. So what is it? It's an iPad tablet. Not the same as this one. It's slightly different. It's a little bit smaller. Some of you in Portland have seen them, the little blue cases that have been running around. It's the Pencil, which is an active stylus, and this thing charges. It writes very different than a capacitive stylus. Charging brick, some of the stuff's on my desk, but little covers, and of course, the case, which is super helpful. And we won't get into all the aspects of what the case can do, but also the software. I'll explain that in a minute. So why? This actually ties between in-person instruction and remote instruction by bringing back key things like writing, drawing on a board, being able to make copies and hand those copies out quickly, not having to wait at a photocopier. And also the grading. Is Terry Myatt in here? She's not in this group.
She just joined. So.
She just joined. Perfect. So Terry, you stole Frank's iPad, right? And blew through grading AP exams, right?
Yes, it was awesome. My AP prompts I was able to get through really quickly.
Yeah. So that kind of brings
like
back
the old days.
The old school days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the why. When? This has been updated. I just found out a few minutes ago that it looks like we're looking at next week as a distribution. And what does it do? Again, whiteboarding, grading, and sharing. So I'm going to get into these 3 things really quickly with you. I'm going to model them for you, what they do. Some of you have probably seen this before, parts of it. And then I'm just going to answer questions. This is not about you learning how to do this today. This is just about you seeing what it can do and what you might want to learn first. Then we'll do smaller pockets of instruction. If you want to learn about whiteboarding, if you want to learn about scanning, if you want to learn about setting it up as a second display, I can do all that stuff. We'll do it at a later date. We won't have enough time to get through all of it today. So that's the end. Now, where do we start? So most of you are probably using Jamboard. So we have these. We've done this before. We've played with Jamboard before. And as some of you know, you can write on Jamboard with your finger, obviously. But with the pen, it's a whole lot easier. You can see me writing on the board now, circling. And then, of course, I can go in and erase. And I'm doing this all in a Meet. So if I was standing in front of the kids right now, turn my back to, right? You can still see me, hopefully, because I got the chat open, so I can't actually see my own picture. If I'm teaching kids in the room, they can see everything. I'm not even using the Apple TV. I just have my computer connected. And I'm logged in on the iPad into the Meet. So everything I do through this portal, this thing, the kids at home can see it. That's the catch with the hybrid. You just have to go through that technology portal, that whole the funnel, so the kids at home can see everything that you're doing. So some of you have seen, let's see if I can, you compare and contrast. I modeled this the other day about how you can go right in here and you can write on this stuff. You can also do the fun stuff like the little stickers, and you can drop those things in. But if some of you have wanted to know, like, how does Khan Academy do what he does, all he does is he has a whiteboard and he changes the background to black, and then he just goes ahead and he writes right on the board. And you know, you have all your colored markers, right? So you can keep changing this. Hopefully I do the math right. So, and you can zoom in and out on a Jamboard. You can see here I'm zooming way in. So if you were to fill this up, you can fill this up with a lot of stuff and zoom in and out of it. Let me see, I think I got one pre-built here a little bit. Okay, there we go. So this is a little secret a lot of people don't know about Jamboard. If you go to your plus button and you go to Google Drive and you bring in some Google Drive content, whether that's a PDF, a Google Slide, a Google Doc, then what happens is you can go into this and you can see I just double clicked and it brought in that slide. So now I can bring the slide up for everybody. And again, if I'm sharing this Jamboard with everyone, kids can go ahead in here and just start marking it up. Okay, and we can delete out of that. Here's more slides that's in that presentation. I can double click on them, bring them in. Again, delete them. Okay, and it also works with PDFs too. Move this out of the way. For example, this here you'll see is stuff. And I'm just gonna drag and drop. And here's my PDF right inside of Jamboard. Everything I'm showing you today is built in to the iPad. I'm not showing you anything that's special that I personally bought. Everything I'm doing today will cost you zero money. Amen.
Michael, and I just want to clarify. So your iPad is not connected to anything right now, and you don't have any cords hanging from it. You didn't have to go to your Apple TV. The way in which you're projecting is that you joined the Google Meet and then presented through the iPad, correct?
Right, right. My recommendation is this setup. And I can kind of turn the camera here for a second. I'll pick it up and show it to you. You can see my laptop's right there with like a little port. You can see there's an HDMI sticking out of there. So it's physically connected to the projector. If you've used two smart boards, you would have to connect the smart board physically to your projector and right on the smart board. Something I'll explain in a little bit. If you use it, it gets a delay if you're connecting twice. I'm going to explain that a little bit later on. But right now, yeah, I'm just in a Google Meet on this thing, and I'm on it twice. Now, the other thing I want to point out about this is you're all probably familiar with the camera function, right? So some of you who are science teachers, now I'm walking around the room, and anything I want to show kids is not that hard to do, right? If you have one of these stands here like this, and this is something we could talk about with Gavin and Sheila, you can connect it and you have a portable wireless webcam. You good? All right. So let's get back out of that. And then Jamboard, of course, also had a Google Doc here. So I was just going to show you this Google Doc. And I just pulled a page out of Google Docs and now I can mark it up.
Mike, can I ask a quick question about if you're not a Jamboard person, can you do some of this with a whiteboard, or you plan on getting there?
Yes, you can use whiteboard.fi, you can use whiteboard.chat. You can do this inside of some other applications. There's a lot of different free ones out there. Jamboard is one I would recommend you master because it's built into the ecosystem of Google. So the more, if you're in the middle of a meet like this and I wanted to create a random Jamboard and get all the kids online and working with me, all I gotta do is click whiteboard inside of the meet. So it's the first whiteboard I would play with. And you can set the background to be black, which actually I would encourage you to do. If you're projecting on a screen for kids, if you project with a black background, it comes out really clear in the classroom because you don't get that white, that glare from the projector. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So the less you have coming out of that, the better it is for the kids to see. Now, I'm going to give you some more stuff in a little bit about how you can record all this, and in seconds, you can make your own Khan Academy video without lots of video editing. All right. So that's whiteboarding. Are we good with that? Nothing pressing for anybody? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on then. Scanning is probably a huge thing I get. I don't know how many teachers have knocked to my door and, well, there's a stack of books over there. Can you scan this chapter for me? Now, those of you who have seen me do this, I do use some proprietary software, but I'm going to show you how you do it built into the iOS, and it will cost you nothing. So the way you would do it is you just launch Notes. It's a regular Notes app. And inside of Notes, I just want to show you, this is a test folder. I can show you all my folders here, but it's a test folder. I purposely have a blank folder because I don't want you to see that anything's pre-built. So I have my test folder, and again, I can write right on here too. So this in itself can be a whiteboard, right? The Notes app. It's just another whiteboarding, and you can see the tools that have just appeared on the bottom. I can move those tools around. If I don't want them there, I can move them over to the side. Now, I want to get something. I don't have anything planned, so I'm going to randomly open up to a page here in this dictionary. If somebody wants to tell me stop, that's fine too. I can do that. Okay. So on the camera app here, I click on the camera on the top, you see the scan documents. All of you with an iOS device, an Apple device, and you can do this on an Android device too. And if you want to stick around after the meeting, I'll show you how to do it. I do have an Android device over there. You have the photos, but you also have scan documents. And this is super helpful because you see what it's doing. You know, it's seeing the edges, and then I just click snap. I just click the white button there. And I keep the scan. Now, I'm going to open the scan back up so you can see it. We can re-edit this scan by clicking the edit button. I hope I didn't do that too fast, and people are like, "What? How did you do that?" So I have the scan, and this is not really useful right now for kids. And I will say, anytime you try to scan a big, thick book like this, my English teacher is going to freak out on me in my librarian, but I'll tell you to cut the binding off. The flatter you can get this, the better it comes out. But anyway, we click the crop button, and now we can move these arrows in to get just the passage that we want. Click done, and we can rotate it. Obviously, we don't want kids having to mess with that, right? And looks good. Click done. Click save. Here it is in the document. And now I can go ahead and bring up the tools. Here's my highlighter. I can go ahead and highlight, underline passages. See that? Simple so far? Now the question is, well, what do you do with it? It's in your Notes app. How do you get it to everybody? You just click the export button, and there's your Google Drive, there's your classroom, there's your email. So you can do this also with color, which is great. Click done. I'm going to go ahead and grab another document. Scan. I got this old atlas here. Probably should get into this. There we go. So I hover over it. There we go. And I'm going to adjust now while I'm here. Just, again, I can zoom right in on what I want the kids to have and get rid of all the excess. I know some of you have the photocopier would do the thing where you lay the paper over it, right? Keep scan. Okay. And we're going to rotate that, get it upright. That's good. Done. Save. Save. There we go. So now it's in there. It's in that note. And I can go right in. I get my editing tools back. And there they are. Right. So now, as it like a history teacher, I can actually draw right on that map. And again, click done, export, and send it where I want to go. The other thing it does, it's a little harder for me to show you this in real time, but I can now just airdrop this. If you look closely, right, it's on my computer now. That's it. Now you can also walk up to students' work. You could walk up and do a poster on the wall. You could go out into the community. You could take artwork, right? Take a photograph of kids' artwork and then make notations of that artwork on the image and send it to the kid. You good? Keep going.
Michael, I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you tell us how you link your computer to your iPad? Did I miss that? Did you mention that?
No, I didn't tell you how to do that yet. That is, there's two ways of doing it. You can link it with Bluetooth or you can link it with iCloud. iCloud is the easiest way to go. You can link it with Bluetooth, but when you break that ecosystem, it kind of gets a little wonky. It's like when you go out of Google and back into Google.
I think though, like if you don't mind me just chiming in, because I'm sort of, I've had mine for a couple weeks and I'm exploring it. And when you get the iPad and you log into your Google account, everything is there. So like I'm on mine right now playing with this as Michael talks. And when I hit the little plus thing, my entire Google Drive shows up and I'm not connected to my computer. I'm just logged in on my iPad to my school Google account. And then everything is there.
Thank you.
So you can start to see there's a lot of power in each one of these. I quickly showed you whiteboarding, and I actually threw in the extra there, the mobile webcam, right? Because you can move this around the room anywhere you want to go. And again, if you have a phone and you're okay with it, you don't have to, but you can join a meet on your phone and place it in one of these holders anywhere and use that as an external camera. Because like right now, I'm using an external camera. So the big one I get that everybody always gets excited about is grading. Let's see if we got it. I already got it open here. I do. So I did ask permission for a few people if I could use some of their work. So when I went to do this, I wouldn't throw anybody off. But this was for my class this summer, and this is Beth, 100%. Nice job, Beth. Looks like your final presentation is still missing. We got to fix that. Let's see, where was it? Meeting.
Things are hard. It's a pandemic. I'll get around to, no, I really did hand it in though.
I haven't been in and out of this class for a while, but I did use a rubric with them and I did post this out. So now I've got pulled up for you the first page. I'm not going to go down all of this because some of it is kind of private, but this is Beth's work from the class this summer. But I've just opened a Google Doc. I'm going to close that because I want you to see. This looks familiar to most people, right? You're inside of Google. It might look a little bit different because I'm in an iOS app. You can use Safari on these things and go in and get the same screen that you used to on your laptop. But if you have the app, I know, Terry, about the bug, and we're working that out, and I've done post on that. But this is how it normally works in the app. I bring up the student's work that I want to score. I click on that work. I click Edit. And hopefully it loads in front of everybody. And you can see at the bottom here, I have all these tools now floating around, right? So I can choose, and now and what that does is I hit save, and you can see it's saying edited Beth Arsenal Digital Learning. What it's done for her is it's made a copy of the original work in PDF with my annotations. So the kid can't go into Google Docs and just go resolve, 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 and walk away. Now the kid has to open up the PDF, look at what they did, and they can go back and edit. And this holds true on if kids upload images of their work. Very easy. Just open it up, go ahead and edit that image. If kids send you a Google slide, that's fine too. But if you get into a situation like this, you're looking at the work and the edit button doesn't work, if you hit this little box with the arrow, now I can go ahead and open this. Open, where is it? Open in. And any of the applications I might have on my device, I can open it in those applications. So I can open it in Notability. I can open it in Notes. I can, whatever application I'm used to using, I can open it. So I go Notes, hit Save, and now it's actually a new note that I can edit, go back and edit. So you still can kind of work around it, even if it kind of roadblocks and says, I can't open this. Not the same issue, Terry. I know what you're thinking. And they're working on that bug because I'm in the Google forums talking to them, and they've said they're on it. They're trying to fix it. For those of you who don't know, iOS 14.1, a bug broke the grading feature inside of the Google Classroom app. But the workaround is if you just get out and go into Safari and log into Google Classroom, it'll work just fine. So, just like I just showed you. So those are the three big things. I gave you the fourth with the extra webcam, but there's also another option. And what time do we have
Did we want to answer Eileen's question?
Oh, I'm sorry, Eileen?
Okay, so when you were just doing that, you were in what, the Google Classroom app? 'Cause
Yep.
you weren't going to Google Classroom through Chrome or through Safari?
No, but you still can.
No,
If you
I'm just
prefer-
wondering, because when I tried to do this, and it wasn't on my iPad, it was one that I borrowed, I was trying to open things up in Cami, and that's why it wasn't working. But it doesn't look like you needed Cami at all for this.
No. It's really that quick. Scoring is like flick, flick, flick. And I'd have another teacher, if they want to chime in, that have used this for scoring. I know Terry has. It's fast. So Terry did AP writing, and the kids have to handwrite that. They don't want it typed. So they handwrote it, took pictures, and uploaded it. And I'll let Terry chime in. She was able to just sit there, score, next, score, next.
Okay, thank.
Terry disappeared.
No, I hit the wrong button. See, I'm fancy with Frank's iPad, but I don't know what button to hit. No, it worked out. It was very quick. My only problem that I had with it is I had a hard time, and it was something, it was my Wi-Fi, actually loading the edited copy. And so I'd have to get up and walk around the house for a minute and come back, and there it would be. So I ended up getting on my phone and using my personal hotspot, and it seemed to work better that way. So that was the only negative thing I could even say about it.
Another piece we're getting, and please, somebody just shout out, because there's more people than I have visualized here. If I don't see your hand, I want to make sure I answer your questions. You're going to get a copy of Reflector Teacher, which I can model for you in a second if you want. But what happens there is my laptop becomes the receiver for wireless devices. So I can connect to my laptop, which is plugged into the projector, and the kids can see this iPad, but I click a button and the iPad disappears. But also the kids' devices can connect. So if you're standing in front of the room, obviously a kid at home is going to share their screen, right, and show you their work. But how does a kid here do it? A kid can actually, doesn't have to be in the meet, the kid can actually connect to your screen and you can show their work. And you can also record your screen right through into your laptop. I'm not going to get into that today because I don't want this to be overwhelming for some people, but there's a lot more to this. But these are the big things. The whiteboarding, the scanning documents, annotating them, pulling them right up, and the grading. So I'm going to open it up to questions right now. If somebody wants me to remodel something, if somebody wants to ask me, hey, this is what I'm doing in my class, how would you do that? That same thing with the technology, because right now I don't know how to do it.
Michael?
Yeah.
When you're opening things on the iPad, I assume you're just clicking it with your finger? Or
Yeah,
do
so
you
I'm just hitting the, I'm going to cancel out of this here. I'm just hitting the home button, and then you can see there's a little bit of a delay, which is weird. What I would tell you is never watch your board. Always turn you back to the board, because there's that little delay between going to the server and coming back. And so like Google Classroom, I'm just clicking on the Google Classroom icon. Now in this case, I already have it launched. But if I launch another app that I haven't, like Magnifier, it takes a second to load, and so this is a free app that I can zoom in with here. You can see it gets really crazy zooming in. And I can snap photos, I can do freeze frames, I can turn on and off the light. So for like a science teacher, that would be super helpful. Yeah, there's a couple people shaking their heads. And again, I've only showed you, David, the free stuff. I've said this in all my classes, and I've said it in other PHS meetings. You get what you pay for. If there's something you really, really want, then you pay a little bit of money and you get a lot of wow factor with it. And you get a lot of simplicity. A lot of times it saves you time. But I'm not here to tell you what to buy, what not to buy. I don't know. I mean, everybody here's classes are different. So I do want to share. I put this. I've shared this before with Portland teachers, but those who are not in Portland, I put the site together with lots of links to examples of how I'm doing this. There's a lot more stuff on there than what I just showed you. Like the one question I get a lot of is, All right, so I'm in Google Classroom, and I'm showing it on my iPad, but how do I show something else? Like, isn't the iPad a one-hit wonder? Like, you got to show one screen at a time? No, it's not. So you can just grab and drag off and let go. And here's my Jamboard. Right? Now, Jamboard is probably not the best one because of it's 16 by 9. But I can now move this window around wherever I want. And if I want a split screen, I drag it to the middle, and now I can slide Classroom out of the way, and I can focus on Jamboard. So your experience that you had several years ago with iPads, this is very, very different. Very different.
Mike, that link you just put in, is that also connected to your technology piece, or should we save that or try to find a way to snag that?
Yeah, that's on my technology page, and it's.
Okay.
I'll put the link again. It's also in the technology classroom for Portland High teachers.
Okay, thank you.
And it's also linked on my website. So, I mean, I'll put it on the staff page if people want that to get to it quickly. The thing I would tell you when these come out, and those of you who already have one know this, I've already told you this, don't get this thing and great, tomorrow I'm going into class and I'm teaching with an iPad. I would not recommend doing that. I would recommend spending a week or so on it, playing around, getting used to the writing. The writing on these things, it's glass. So if any of you have ever had to write with a really hard marker on glass, it's very smooth. It feels very different. That takes a little getting used to. Writing digitally, it feels a little bit different. It looks a little bit different. So I would play around with that before you jump right into trying to teach your students with it. Master, and I put all those videos up. Apple's done a great job at creating some very slick videos. Here's how you insert text. Here's how you back text out. Here's how you can actually, let's see if it does it now. You can see here, I've got this, what is this, MSM? Yeah. So I've got my cursor in there and the keyboard comes up, right? But I can also type. Bang. So as I'm writing, I don't have to put the pencil down. I can write and fill in forms and go. So like I said before, I can keep going and going and going. We could do a whole PD just on this iPad.